So, finally, it looks like it's starting. I'm so sorry. Restream and was having some issues this morning, and so took a little longer than planned to get started. Is it? Yeah. Okay. It's actually coming through. Not completely coming through, but that's all right. There we go. Okay, it's coming through on Twitch and YouTube. And I got the chat up on both my phones, one for each, and I can follow along. So we are going to do a Spark code review. About halfway through, I'm probably going to have to move rooms unless someone doesn't show up for their next meeting here. I just had an issue with the original room that I booked. So we're going to go ahead and switch this into live mode. Yay! Oh, one of the pieces of feedback that I got was that it's difficult to see what I'm typing at the bottom because of that, so I'm just going to move this fancy bar up to the top here. We'll update the review info. Today, reviewing Apache Spark and related PRs. Review info, and let's go ahead and go there. So the Spark PR dashboard, sparkpr.appspot.com, is how I often go about deciding what pull requests it is that I want to take a look at. And it's a little bit slow, and this is because for historic reasons, this couldn't actually be, we couldn't set up webhooks here. And so this is actually done with polling and some other stuff. In a previous live stream, we actually set this up, a demo version of it for booze, demo, projects, are rad.appspot.com, which gives us the same view, but for the Beam project. But so today, though, we're focused on Spark. Let's go into Python and take a look here. Oh, cool. So normally I wouldn't go down the list so quickly, but because this is a live review, I stick to the ones where people have like opted into me reviewing them live. And so we're just going to, ooh, this one's interesting, although it doesn't merge and it's rather large. I think this one is okay to review live. Oh god. Oh, Kerberos support is, we're not touching that. Oh, this one, we looked at some before, and we're going to come back to it today. LDA, incremental model learning, no. Multiple column support to a string indexer. This one's pretty huge from what I recall, and not a lot of fun, so we'll probably skip that one today. Add shuffle collection function, not really. This one we've been going back and forth on forever. It's important, but I don't like the trade-offs that we've picked. We might look at some of it quickly. Oh, this is date time. Date time issues are really not a lot of fun. So we'll only look at that if I run out of things to do. And we've got some other fun things to look at. And this is more of a SparkR patch than a Python one, but it definitely touches some Python components. And so we can take a look at the Python parts and maybe give some feedback there. I wonder why it's using --pip. That's interesting. The community. So the author says like it's not done, but they want some community input on the format of the Dockerfile. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Oh, actually, I do want to see what we do with --pip, because that doesn't make a lot of sense to have in an R based one, so I don't see that here. --pip, no. Okay, let's double check. This is the this is make distribution.sh. Okay. That's fine then. That actually makes a lot more sense. Okay. This is the Docker file. Yeah. Docker build. No cache arg. Then some tells. SparkR. And there's that push. Okay, so this just changes the indentation here. These aren't actually all changing, I don't think. FPRR, Dockerfile with R baked into it. And -p is a Dockerfile with Python baked into it. Okay. Okay. Is this... We're using actually different Docker files. So this comment here about by default builds the Docker file -p and -r clarify that it builds the Python or R Docker file ship with Spark, since we are going to be shipping multiple ones, and if someone goes and looks at the default one, they might get confused about how this builds. This is going to be a init because it's not overly important, and if Villian decides that they don't care about this, that's totally fine. Okay. Spark submit has changed. Okay, yeah. So that makes sense. We no longer require that they're not submitting an R cluster, an R job, because now we support R jobs. We move that over, and we do pretty much the same thing here as we do with Python. Can we submit multiple? Interesting. We probably can. Okay. Oh. Since this is being changed here, let me double check that this change is actually correct. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. So you can see I was looking at some other stuff in the Python worker for PySpark daemon support. So we're going to go ahead and grep. I'm going to go back into repo Spark. Grep-r. Can you please share the GitHub link? Yeah, sure. That's a very reasonable request. Let me go find the chat. Here we go. This is the PR I'm looking at right now. And I can actually go ahead and add that, reviewing Apache Spark, PR, and the review info. Okay. Yes. Okay, I'll get back to the PR over here. All right, so I'm going to go check and make sure that this change to camel cases is actually correct. Grep-r, Python,
version core src. It's not showing up in there. Interesting. Get log-p python version. So it would have happened relatively recently. I'm not seeing it. Is that changed in this one? It is. Okay. Init/curiosity. Why are we changing this? Just because I don't know why. Okay. So that documentation, I mean, it matches the code change. I just don't know why we're changing that code. There's no description of that happening in the pull request itself. It's the main resource. These are the app arguments. I wonder if we let people control the R version, like we do with Python, but no, it's fine. Yes, this is a more accurate comment. That's good. And let's keep going though. Yeah, okay. R driver feature step. Okay. A lot of this is probably boilerplate. Yeah, and builder args and if this was nearer to the end, we'd spend more time on these. But it's not. It's very early stages, and he mostly asked for feedback on the Dockerfile. So I'm just skimming the Scala files, sort of quickly. It's quite the long import, but that's also very minor. Okay, so we've switched. Oh, and I got a Tripit push notification. This is my trip to Seattle is starting soon. In Seattle, I left at 6 a.m. Oh, actually, that might be my trip to Seattle next week. Whatever, I travel too much. Provide R step, provide Java step. I'm not really super sure why we've reordered these, but that's probably fine. Okay, our app main resources. Okay, Kubernetes conf suite. This is, I mean, it's not a. We really want an integration test later, but this is, you know, better than nothing. Let's keep going. Okay, we're gonna skip the test suites for today just because we got kind of a late start. And I want to go find the Dockerfile. Okay, add arg base image from base image. Yeah, workdir / run mkdir spark home r copy r spark home. Oh, I didn't realize we could do this in Dockerfiles. That's actually super useful and would have saved me a lot of time with some other shit I was doing. But too late for that now. Run apk add no cache r rdev. Should we install a specific version of R? Yeah. Let's take a look at what we can do this. APK R versions. Docker APK. No. Docker. Yeah. I think this could
makes sense to support. The same could be true for Python as well. Okay, thanks for the stream. What kind of IDE do you use for coding? What other tools do you recommend for open source projects? Yeah, that's a great question. I do most of my coding in Emacs, and I just like that it's fast, and I've gotten used to it over time. A lot of my coworkers really like IntelliJ. I also do a fair amount of coding in notebooks. It's not as much on the open source side as when I'm doing more data analytics stuff. I use notebooks. And, you know, I personally mostly just use kind of old tools. I like the GitHub review flow. I know there are people who don't like it, but I find it quite useful. It's mostly that. I also, I mean, honestly, virtual M's are like a really relatively simple or common tool, but I find them really useful for testing Python changes in pull requests where I just want to play around with something and see if it works quickly. I don't have to like do a full system install. Very bad behavior. It might make sense to do, you know, a follow-up PR, since we probably can't install all the versions the user might want from APK. So, add review comment. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I have our home. Yeah, yeah, okay, that's not bad to make that private. Sure. Okay. Okay. So I mean, this is sort of a relatively quick first pass over the data. Sorry, not data. Sorry, over the PR. Did a quick first pass. And actually, the PR author and I are talking this evening, anyways, about some other things. Some comments. And this is just like, hey, I have some comments, but like I definitely haven't reviewed this pull request in depth. So I can close that, close that. This is an improvement of the documentation. Okay, I mean, Felix said LGTM on the R side. On the Python side, we might supported options. Okay, I mean, this clearly has more description text. So I guess another tool which I use sometimes is Hub. Yeah, okay. Git branch, git diff, crafty code master. Oh, I checked out someone's individual PR. Okay. This was the other PR. Actually, so we're gonna go jump into that PR and we'll come back to this one. And I'm gonna hope that the person who has this meeting room reserved for 11 doesn't show up. If they do, we'll just run to another room, which I reserved down the hallway. We can have that brief moment of interlude. Okay, so this is, I think, this is the PR. Let's go ahead and do a git log. -p add test test. No, okay, this is a different PR that I have checked out locally, I guess. But nonetheless, let's take a look. Oh, it's unfortunate. They haven't had a chance to update this PR. Let's go ahead. We'll just this happens. Ping at cclause. We've got a code freeze coming up soon, and it would be nice to be able to get this in before code freeze. Do you have some time to update this PR with the feedback? And so let's just, hey, you know, if you have some time to update this, it'd be lovely. Try and get it in. If not, it's really no stress. Like, this is good to do. It's not a blocker, though, since people don't seem to actually encounter these issues. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And this one we're not going to look at today. It's just too long. This one we'll take a look at what its state is, but let's focus on this one here. And this is updating the documentation. So I'm going to do a hub checkout, and it's like unset GitHub API key or something like this. Actually, I'm going to switch this into talking mode for a second. While I look at some secrets that I have stored in an environment variable. Sure, this is not actually classy. Go back to the live view. Okay, cool. And we can see here what hub checkout does is it makes it a lot easier for me to check out pull requests. And I am going to build the documentation. There's like a, is it readme.md? Yeah. Tilde, what VMs do I have on this machine? This looks like probably the one that I want. Bin activate. Let's just make sure I have pigments installed. And if I don't, I'll just install it now. Okay, pigments is installed. And these are some extra bits that we use. I'm not going to bother building the R documentation because I'm going to assume Felix has done a quick check of that. Okay, and now, so the reason why I'm building the documentation is there's certainly been times when in the past we've accidentally broken the documentation and not noticed. And while there's images attached here, they've updated it since their original PR, and I don't know if they've rebuilt it. So I just want to do a quick rebuild myself. Oops, plus readme.md. And so you can see we're not going to bother building everything. So we're going to skip the Scala doc. We're going to skip most of these. Skip Scala doc, skip. We're not going to skip the Python doc. We are going to skip the R documentation, and we're going to skip the SQL documentation. And we're going to do a Jekyll serve interactive. Not incremental, sorry. I don't want to rebuild everything that I don't have to. This will take a little bit of time and will provide me with a nice interlude to drink this cup of coffee. And if anyone is, oh, cool. Is it possible to add new functions and features on the Python side of Spark without ever needing to touch the Scala part? I only know Python. And that's a great question. The answer is it's hard. There's certainly places where it's doable.
And actually, that's a fun thing that we can go and take a look around at while this piece is running here. While we're building the documentation, we can go take a look at some of the Python code. I'm going to try and remember some of the more pure Python parts. Okay. So, oh, yeah, no, okay. Sorry. Context, cloud pickle, actually, so one of the things, for example, which is very pure Python, is we use this thing called cloud pickle. And one of the things that I was talking with one of the creators of Spacey about is we don't have a way for Spacey to tell us essentially that they're really expensive to serialize, but there's a cheaper way to serialize them for network. And by really expensive to serialize, I mean like it takes up a lot of space. And we should actually do a different representation of them. One of the things we could do that would be pure Python would be like adding some hooks into Cloud Pickle, and then working with Spacey or some other libraries to use those hooks so they can sort of help our serializers out and be a little bit smarter. Because they don't want to change their default serialization behavior, because most of the times when people do that, it makes sense to serialize locally. It's just because we're adding network translation on top of it that it doesn't. What are some other things that are pure Python oriented? Join.py, profiler.py, rddsampler.py, stackcounter.py, SQL streaming task context test. So SQL is one of the places where most of the work here ends up being at the intersection. So you end up having to do a bit of Scala and Python. If you want to work inside of Spark SQL, like on Spark itself, if you want to just use it, it's totally fine. ML is another place where most of the things require knowing some Scala. It doesn't always, though. So, for example, one of the things that we've been talking about doing for a very long time in Python, but we've never gotten around to doing, is this pipeline here is very similar to the Scala pipeline, but one of the features that we've left out of this pipeline is essentially struct type checking. And so there's this thing inside of the Scala version where it uses this function called transform schema, and it essentially will check that the input data frames have the fields that your machine learning stages require. And this is really useful because your machine learning pipelines can take a really long time. And we just didn't implement it in Python. And the schemas are already implemented in Python. And so it would just be about implementing that, implementing transform schema, figuring out a way to implement it so that it's optional and not required, and doing that there. Those are some of the things off the top of my head. If you're interested in contributing to Spark in Python specifically, you know, if there's an area that you're more interested in, I'm happy to take some time and chat about that, and we can try and find some issues or an area for you to do some work. Oh yeah, another thing which is there, which I was talking with someone about, is there's a lot of places in PySpark where our exceptions don't make a lot of sense. And that's unfortunate, and we could definitely improve them substantially. And so that could be a thing if you wanted to do that, where you could go in and improve a lot of these error messages as well. It's like not that the error message one is like maybe not super exciting, but I think it's a really good place to start because you spend some time figuring out what's happening in the code, and then your change is relatively clear to people, and the review is not as challenging as the places where, for example, if you were to add this schema stuff, we'd have a lot of concerns about backwards and forwards compatibility, and we'd have to think about it very carefully. But improving an error message tends to be less controversial. Okay, so on that note, oh, it looks like I don't have Jekyll installed. Wait, what? I do have Jekyll.
I don't have... I do have pigments installed. Is it looking at the system pigments? That would be annoying. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that this is... Oh, okay. Probably this is... I don't have pigments.rb installed is probably the challenge. Sudo gem install. I'm really glad that that other person did not show up for their conference or meeting. Okay, cool. Activate that. Run this. Okay, cool. Now we can go look at the API docs and see if they look good. API docs, Python, and what was this pull request changing? Not this one. This one, random forest classifier. Okay. Random forest. Classifier. Okay, what did they change? Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, feature subset strategy is the param. So let's go find the feature subset strategy in the documentation. Feature subset strategy. This formatting is unfortunate, but maybe not. I mean, I don't think it's the PR author's problem. The number of features to consider for all splits at each node tree, supported options auto. Okay, let's go take a look at what the current version of this looks like. Spark project, documentation, latest release, API docs, Python. Okay. Feature subset strategy. Feature subset strategy. Auto all 1/3 square root log 2, 0 to 1.0, and 1 to n. Okay, the number of features to consider for splits in each tree node. Supported options auto, description of how auto works. All, use all features 1/3, square root log 2, and where n is in this range as a percent then, and an absolute value. Yep, okay. Yeah, LGTM on the Python side as well. Yeah, conversation. What was, actually let's double check Felix's init. A few changes. Won't show me them because, yes, I know I just said that I didn't mind these that bad, but oh, actually wait, I might have a init of my own. Let's take a look. Oh, this is coming from, I want to double check the thing. I think this doc is where, what is this in? It is in, oh no, this is the, let's go find the Python one. Okay, and this is tree ensemble params, so general decision tree parameter. Okay. So that's fine then. I was thinking because it the screenshot only shows it for classification, or sorry, not the screenshot. The build that I did, I only went to classification, but the doc has changed for both classification and regression, which explains why this is. Not my only concern here is that the Scala version description might be different, and we should update that one as well. So let's go ahead and find the Scala params. And so this is random forest classifier, random forest classifier dot Scala. Actually, let's go and take a look, because we can actually just go here and we can see what the random forest classifier. Random forest classifier. Feature subset strategy. Okay, cool. I mean, the description is different, but it's closer than it used to be before. And the links in the doc strings don't work out as well in Python with this param doc thing, so I think we're fine. Okay. So we're going to go into fast chain review. Python side looks good to me. And hit approve there. Since Felix did the first pass, I'll wait for Felix to say anything, or if he doesn't say anything by next week, we'll just merge it ourselves. Where did this one get left off? Okay, it's not merging. Okay, yeah. Yes. So still on his radar. He's just got some other things to do. So that's totally fine. We'll come back to this PR another time. So I mean that's probably 50 minutes ish. Let's go. I'm gonna go and check my PRs. So I'm gonna go in here. Oh, I'm gonna sign in. And then if I go into users, and by my PRs I mean the PRs which I've reviewed before. So then I can go Holden. Okay, I can click on myself here. These are my outgoing PRs. Oh, this one's going nowhere. This one's going nowhere. I should do something about those, but not today. Oh, okay. Let's take a look at this.
add intercept to streaming linear regression, add sample weights to distribution trees, multiple n-gram sizes, word to vec, handling data skew, nullability. Okay, before I run away, I'm going to do one last check. I remember someone asking me to review a PR from last time, but my memory is a little fuzzy, so I'm going to check my email and see if I sent myself an email about anything in particular to review. Oh, that would actually be really cool. Oh, same thing with that. Okay. I don't see it here. Let's see if it's in my Twitter direct messages really quickly. Yeah, it's not immediately obvious. So I guess if it's important, someone will reach out to me again, and then I'll take a look at it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I mean, yeah. I really don't know if we want to do this. So, mllib is CN further into maintenance mode. Do we want to take improvement parity patches like these? CC at mlnick, at Joseph Bradley, and I'm leaning towards no, and focusing on ML, but it's a mild lean. And so this is just like, I don't know if we want to do this or not. Okay, cool. Include, oh, I wish we had this. Oh man, that is a lot of documentation changes. This is really close, I think. Maybe let's go take a look. Yeah. Could you move this, block a bot, and get rid of link status? Interesting. Okay. So how does this work? Check the Python document style, skip check if PyDoc style is not installed. Yeah. So instead of, so if I understand Brian Cutler's request correctly, instead of setting lint status in the if check above, just and then using this to determine if, and then using lint status to determine if we should run the PyDoc style checker, just directly check the compile status and then run the
pydoc style checker on that. Does that make sense though? Okay, also, that being said, I think we already set the lint status above. I'm not super sure. And would have exited at this point, if it was not. Oh, pydoc style status. Compile status EQ0. Pycode style status. I don't. This is shell scripting, which I'm always just a little rough on why we do things the way we do. So compile status here, and that's the pycode style status. But I don't know why we're checking the compile status. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to go ahead and open up the lint Python script here. Lint Python compile. Oh, it's compile underscore status, that's why. Interesting. So we only, okay, yeah. So, okay. Lint status above. That being said, I think, status. We could also drop the compile status check, right? Since we would have already exited the script if it was non-zero at this point. I think. Start review. Nits data space between skipping. Review comment. Okay, so thanks for working on this. Thanks for working on this. Is this a thing you still have bandwidth to work on? Yep. Cool. That does it. It's now 11:30. How much more time? Well, I have a bit more time. Yeah, okay. If you're still working on this, it would be good to merge in the latest master branch. That's good. This one, probably not so easy. Okay. Jenkins, okay to test. CC at MLMIC. Again, this one is yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. What's your motivation on streaming your work? That's a great question. There's a few things. I want more people to be involved with the review process in big data. You can see here we have 486 open pull requests. If it's just up to like me and a few other people, we're never going to be able to keep up. It's been higher in the past, but it can feel a little overwhelming. So my hope is that by streaming these code reviews, more people can get involved with the review process. If that's not your jam, though, that's totally fine too. The other one is if contributors can understand the review process a little more, maybe they'll understand why it takes us so long to get to things, and it's not a really good excuse, but it's overwhelming how many things we have to go through. That's pretty much it for me. The other one, actually, I guess, which is probably not a non-zero motivation, is one of the metrics that I'm judged on in my job is about like community involvement and stuff like that. And so a lot of that normally means things like giving talks and stuff, but I like to spend a lot of my time working on these projects, and recording videos is a way to make some of the support that's really important to do match the metrics which I am judged on for my day job. And I guess the final one is also actually setting aside time to do a live stream code review. Forces me to actually set aside time in my week to review code. It's really easy to let your reviews slide by the wayside, and so this also forces me to be a good community member and Spark committer. Is this okay? Is this still a PR you're working on? We've recently started adding PML support to SparkML, and it would be cool to have this in the ML side instead of, or in addition to the legacy SparkML. Cool. Comment there. That's good. Yeah, that's good. So before I completely wrap up for the day, I do have some other live streams coming up. On the 30th, which I'm pretty sure is Monday, I will be showing some working with Apache Spark, and I'll be working in a Jupyter notebook on Monday. Getting ready for my talk later on this month. On the 2nd, which is Thursday, Gris and I will be getting Apache Beam set up on a new computer with her, and hopefully getting her started contributing to a new PR. On the 6th, I'll do some live coding in Spark in Scala instead of Python for a change, and I'll also do some Beam coding that day as well in the afternoon. What else? There was another thing. Oh, I have some like vague slides about what I do, which might, since you asked what my motivation is for doing this, let's go into conferences. 2018 live stream intro deck. So I didn't actually have a chance to update this intro deck, but it's Holden and Boo's super fun live stream. Last time I looked at MentionBot and SparkPR dashboard. This time we just looked at some Spark PRs. Might as well update it for what I'm doing next time. Spark, live coding with Apache Spark for collecting ASF diversity info. So if you want to join me on Monday, that's what we'll be looking at together. And I am Holden. My preferred pronouns are she or her. I am a developer advocate at Google. I am also on the Apache Spark PMC, and I contribute to Beam and other projects. I've worked at a whole bunch of other places. I'm a co-author of 2 books. I got a much better royalty deal on this one, so I think everyone should buy it. If you want to follow me on SlideShare, that's where my slides go normally. Live streams, you're already watching one. They're on Twitch and YouTube. And I have some other Spark videos. I've been collecting talk feedback here, but you can also submit feedback for the live stream as well. And in addition to who I'm professionally, I'm trans, queer, Canadian, living in America on an H-1B work visa, and part of the leather community. So that does it, more or less, for today's stream, I think. It's 11:40. I kind of want to go get lunch. So unless there's any other questions, I'm going to sign off for the rest of the day, and I'll see you folks on Monday when I will be doing some super fun live streaming stuff, getting ready for JupyterCon, which I am really excited about. If you're in New York, you know, I'll be there, and I think I'm talking on the last day. I want to say it's the 24th that I'm talking there. I am, and so it's August 24th at 1:50 p.m. And I think that'll be kind of fun too. Great. So thank you all very much. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week or weekend or whatever this is. Thank you. I look forward to lunch as well. I actually, one of the people that I went to school with happens to work in the same building that I'm in today, so we're going to catch up over lunch and trade Canadian stories and complain about the lack of good poutine down here. So yes, thank you all for joining.